And Mr. Brand, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. And can you see my PowerPoint screen there?
Yes, we can.
You can. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. As mentioned, my name is Robert Brand, and for quite a while, I hate to say it how long, but 32 years in a row, I have been talking about one topic only to residential agents here in California, and that is how to properly disclose the physical condition of the home, because that issue involves the number one source of litigation against California real estate agents. So, and what I'll do is I will go till, and I never go over time, so I'll go to 1 o'clock. Feel free to ask questions. I'm not sure if we can do them in the chat room or whatever, and I'll hang out for a little bit if there are any questions afterwards. And I've got a couple of sponsors, so I will introduce them in a moment. But depending on the part of California, but certainly here in Southern California, this number is accurate. Around 9 out of 10 lawsuits against residential agents involve something regarding the disclosure of the condition of the property. So big topic. I will email to Robert some seminar notes that I update every, I don't know, month or two on disclosure techniques that you may want to just keep handy, just a Word document. I always like to mention, if you've never seen him, I think he is like the ultimate expert. He's with Carr, Gov Hutchison, or just known as Gov. If you've never seen him before and he's in town or anywhere around where you can catch him, he's just an absolute wealth of knowledge. And he doesn't pay me to say that. So anyway, I do not charge anything for what I do. I do not sell anything. So I'm very graciously sponsored by service providers. And Fran is here out in the field somewhere in her, I'm not sure she's got the Rolls, the Bentley, or the Lamborghini today, but anyway, take it away, Fran, with First American.
Hi, guys. Thank you. And my Equinox parked off the 91 freeway, watching the traffic backed up. So if you're going eastbound, don't go on the 91 freeway. There's a big accident, okay? Just want to forewarn you. All right. Thank you guys for letting me be at this meeting. I was at your Diamond Bar office yesterday, and last week I was at your Irvine office. I don't get to see you because a lot of people don't come into the office, but the ones that are there, I sit and chat with everybody, as you well know. But I want to bring to mind that make sure that you're looking at the right brochure, number one. So you should be have the brochure that's got the teal color going across the top. If it doesn't have a teal line going across the top, throw it away. It's not the right brochure. We've had this one now in effect for going to be a year. So a lot of times you just accumulate all these brochures. So throw the other ones away. Teal line is what you need. I want to remind you that codes and mods is a huge deal. And we have coverage for that. It's $100. And what that'll cover is $1,250 if I have to replace a hot water heater or an air conditioning. EPA mandate, I have to give you an energy efficient system. And to put that in, it's going to save you money in the long run. But to get it in there, everything's got to be changed out. And warranties give you normal labor. So codes and mods are not covered unless you buy the codes and mods option for $100. Very, very important. Also, when you write your RPAs, don't just put a dollar amount and tell me to give you the works, okay? Because I don't know if it has a pool. I don't know if it comes with a washer, dryer, refrigerator, or if it has an ADU. So all these things are very important. If it has an ADU, call me. I'll give you the price of the ADU. Or if it's a guest house, I'll give you the price of that. But you have to tell the contract what you want. And a lot of the problems come from not ordering the proper coverage. When it goes through me, trust me, I will find you, get the information, and get it done. But sometimes your TCs, they just send it to me with a dollar amount, then I got to send it back. They got to find you. It's a whole thing. So let's just do it right the first time so that we can cover you and you're not going to have problems in the long run. If you have any questions, give me a call. In the evenings, I am going to classes now at night because I want to get smarter. So I don't answer my phone after 6:30 on Monday and Wednesdays. So weekends, I pick up my phone. So anyway, thank you again for 34 years of being here with warranty right here. Same person calling on you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not retiring. So I'm here to help you and make all these homeowners' dreams be easy when they move into their home. So thank you. Thank you again for the time. Bye.
Thank you, Francine. And somebody put in the chat room, Francine is the best. So you got a good reference already. Thank you very much. Drive carefully.
Thank you.
And also, Josh is here with the Elite. Elite is, and this is going to sound like it can't be true, but it is. It is the largest home inspection company in the entire world. There is no company close to it in terms of the services they provide and the number of inspectors they have. So, Josh, take it away.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, guys, it's true. We are the largest inspection company in the entire world. Bob said it, so you know it's the truth. I'll keep it brief because I want you guys to hear Bob, all the important things about staying out of court. But another good way to stay out of court, obviously having a good home inspection and a good home inspection report. Elite Group, we've been around for 40 years. We do home inspections, commercial, sewer scope, air quality, group certifications, termite, all of it. Basically a one-stop shop. All of our inspectors are going to be CAR certified, and all of them are INNACHI certified. INNACHI is the largest certifying body for home inspectors in the country. And the reason that's important is because in California, you don't need a license to be a home inspector. Anybody can do it. Anyone can have a business card that says home inspector. They come in, they do an inspection, and you don't know what you're going to get. And that can be a big deal down the line, especially when it comes to being in court. So make sure you're working with the right professionals, and that's us. Again, being the largest inspection company, we're doing about 400 inspections a week, all throughout Southern California. So we see it all, we share it, we take that knowledge, we bring it to you guys, we bring it to your buyers, your sellers. We want everyone to be comfortable going into those big purchases. It's a big deal, and there's a lot of money involved. One more thing I want to say, a couple of things. The repair pricer report, which we've been offering for a few years now, we're doing it for free. So that repair pricer report is going to come with every Elite Group inspection, and it's going to be free for the agent. And then another new thing that we're doing is a pay at close. So we have a pay at close of escrow. What's nice with that is that you start adding up all these other inspections. You've got your home inspection, your sewer scope, termite, all of it can get pretty pricey. And nowadays, every single penny counts. So your buyers can roll that inspection cost into the pay of close of escrow. So that's a nice thing to help alleviate a little bit of that stress. Again, thank you guys for having me. Thanks for your time. And Bob, have a great talk.
Thank you very much. Let's get into it. Let me just get the PowerPoint in the right setting here. Here we are. I'm going to cover in the time I have some rather basic disclosure techniques. I've kind of been asked to do that. I've got I don't know, to 20 hours of non-repeating information. I'm going to get into or just cover this afternoon, not morning, this afternoon, some of the key ways of avoiding litigation, or the more prominent ways, or the more popular ways, because they just affect so much of the transaction. So I'll just go rapid fire. If you have any questions, put them in the chat room. I can kind of read them as I go along, and I never go over time, so let's get going. On the visual inspection, everybody I know there uses the AVID form, and it does say, as I have circled there, visual inspection. So a question that may come up is, does that mean that the agent's inspection is limited only to what they can see, just visually? And the answer actually is no, even though it does say visual. It really has morphed, if you will, into essentially meaning any sensory perception. So never hesitate to disclose something that you are aware of, but you don't, like, with your eyeballs see. So for example, let's say you're doing your limited, and it is very limited agent's inspection, have an inspection on a 2-story home. You're upstairs and you're going from room to room across the upstairs hallway, and you kind of get the impression, it's not dramatic, but the floor just seems to be, in a couple of areas, just very, very slightly uneven. You barely notice it, but you do notice it. Excuse me. You would want to disclose that, probably with a lightweight disclosure, like some unevenness noted in upstairs hallway floor. That, the buyers may not notice it. They may not do anything about it. Who knows? But when they move in, if they notice it and they kind of freak out, or they have a tendency to freak out just because of the kind of people they are or whatever, you have made a disclosure, and that protects you and your company, and also provides information to your client if you're representing the buyers in my example. And it could be on the listing side too. Next example, let's say you're downstairs, family room, kitchen area, and there's a really, really strong, pretty heavy, strong, kind of like musty, mildew, moldy odor. And you're thinking, wow, first of all, what's it from? And you don't have to know what it's from, but that's maybe a thought that occurs to your mind. And then you think, well, I got to make a disclosure here of some sort. I don't want to freak everybody out or whatever. And one of the things that we want to avoid would be using terminology that we're not supposed to use, like mold odor noted. Mold, we don't want to write the word down even. It's outside of our standard of care to determine if something that we see or touch or can smell is actually mold. That's more of like a industrial hygienist job. So we can make a disclosure like obvious odor noted in kitchen, family room area. Because of it's so strong at the time you're there, so heavy, you're thinking that even when the house is like even professionally cleaned up before the buyers move in, it's going to linger on. If it is mold, it's going to be an expensive fix, and maybe some health issues and so forth. We can't diagnose that. We don't want to use the word mold, but you still want to bring to attention something that you need to bring. If you're representing the buyers, for example, you do need to bring it to their attention. Now, a mistake that some agents make is they think they are doing a visual inspection only. And that's kind of the general perception out there. It's a visual inspection. But, if you notice the floors are, again, kind of uneven, but it's very slight, you can't see it, but you notice it through sense of balance and that kind of a thing, and a variety of other things you may pick up. You're getting them in ways other than just the basic, human senses. So for that example, family room, kitchen area, really heavy kind of mildew odor, I would probably write down something like obvious odor noted in, this particular area, apparent odor noted. Just stay away from words like mold, like mildew that are really outside of our standard of care to mention or to diagnose. So it's really anything, you can hear it, you can see it, that kind of thing. Got to broaden it out a bit. And the categories that we cover are just two: defects and or red flags. And these are all easy definitions. I'll just go through them quick. Like a broken window, obviously, is a defect. And, if the window's broken, like let's say in the kitchen, that's the whole disclosure. Cracked window. It's not a big crack, small crack, upper right corner crack. It's not from the baseball, the frisbee, the rock, the whatever. It's just cracked, or window is cracked. Just keep it really simple. The red flag category, like this stain, I have no idea, no matter who I'm representing and no matter who talks to me. It could even be the home inspector that just came down from the attic, but I've got to do my own thing. There's a stain there, but I don't want to call it a water stain because it may not be from water. It could be a rodent issue, for example, or they could have white wine stored up there and a bottle broke. I don't know. In a way, I don't care. I mean, I care about my client, but I'm talking about the actual way I'm writing it down to disclose. So this would just be stain noted. And if there was a window right below it, you could say stain noted at, what did I say, den or whatever, family room, above window or something like that in the ceiling. But just keep it, it's not a big stain, small stain. It's not a water stain. It's just stain. That's all. Even if you're told what it is, you want to just keep it really basic and simple and non-litigious. Lots of challenges. I'll just mention two of them for sake of time. I'm in the family room and I've got my Avid either on my phone. You might even have the actual old-fashioned real piece of paper form. I don't know. It could be whatever format you have, iPad, whatever. And anyway, you're in the, what did I say, living room, and you notice a ceiling fan. You don't notice anything else. There's nothing else to disclose. It looks ideal. You're not going to say it looks ideal. That's advertising. Here, talking about disclosure here. But you may notice, well, there's a ceiling fan there. I'll just jot that down, ceiling fan noted in living room, just to be able to say something to kind of prove I was in the room. The problem with that is just mentioning it is you're not calling out a defect or red flag, which is really what the limited visual inspection is to try to uncover. It's inventory. It's not a defect or red flag. So we don't want to just write down something just because to prove we've been in the room. I'll give you a suggestion on what you can write down when you can't find anything to say about it from a defect perspective. The other challenge I'll mention of just two, and there's lots of them, I'll just mention two. Spiderweb challenge. You can't find anything. There's no ceiling fan to distract you, and you're just trying to find something to write down, and you notice there's a spider web up in the corner. Well, it doesn't rise to the level of disclosure. It's not a defect. It's not a red flag, particularly unless there's spiders everywhere. So we don't want to go down that road. So what do you do when you've really looked around adequately? And I'm not talking about hours and hours and hours, doesn't take that long, but you've been careful in your observations and you can't find anything to say. Well, first of all, you always want to go, whatever Neil and Robert tell you, you want to go with office policy. But the basic standard is that if you cannot find anything to say, you're obviously not going to make something up, and you're not going to write down inventory, because that's not what the evidence for is. It's nothing noted. Statewide, that is by far and away the most popular phraseology when you've been in the living room or some other room and you've looked around adequately, which is, limited. We're not, pulling things apart and so forth, is nothing noted. Now, the only criticism or complaint I've heard about that is when a home is in pristine condition. They tend to be the higher end homes, but they don't have to be. And you can't find anything anywhere. That seems like some people say that's impossible, but I've been around a while. Some homes it's really hard to find anything to write down as a defect or red flag. And those are our only two categories. Defects, of course, things that are clearly wrong, like the window's broken. That's a defect. And the red flag is where there's a reasonable suspicion that something might be amiss or askew or whatever. But on this issue where the home is in just absolutely pristine condition, we may feel uncomfortable just having only this to say, a bunch of nothing noteds. So let's talk about that. Here in Southern California, and I live in Southern California. I travel all over the state. I don't go out of state because no other state has the disclosure laws that we do. But throughout California, with maybe an exception like, I don't know, Yosemite or Big Bear somewhere, almost every home has, like on the left, what we would call stucco siding. If you're going to refer to it, just call it siding, like, something on the exterior of the home or something. Stay away from the word stucco. Brick often, not as frequently as stucco, but around, and then cement or concrete on the right for patios and driveways and so forth. It is impossible to find any home in California where all of these surfaces are crack-free. So if you see a few cracks, like in the patio, what do I have here? Exterior siding and patio. Maybe I'll change this up a bit. Some cracks noted at, let's say, left or south or whatever, exterior siding and backyard patio. They're not big cracks. They're not small cracks. They are never settling cracks. That's a whole nother dimension of expertise that is not part of what we do. The word some, I love the word some, because if you have a really finicky, picky buyer and you've said that there are 3 cracks in the concrete backyard patio, and maybe there is a potted plant or a big chair or something in the way, and there aren't 3, there are 5. Well, if they're prone to argue, and, a lot of litigation starts out really small. It's just a little dispute, then it gets bigger and bigger, and the attorney that they have usually will help them along. Nobody's going to disagree with the word some. There's just some cracks, and you don't have to count them. And that's even if you have, hey, it's good to use the word some. It just works best. But you can almost always find that in every single property. So we usually do have something to say. And if you follow my high-tech arrow here, you'll see on the Avid, there's other places to write things, but something that doesn't get used much, but it's a good like catch-all is near the very end where it says other observed or known conditions not specified above is a great place, and maybe go to an addendum if you don't have enough room here in those, what do we have here, 3 lines. Great place to write some of these things down, especially when you can't find anything else. You're almost always going to be able to come up with that. So that's good. Okay, let me just check the chat room real quick here. Can you write flooring and state of room is in the condition expected for the age of the home? Good question. Very good question. No, I would not write that down. Flooring and state of room is in the condition expected for the age of the home. That I can tell you what would probably happen in court is they'd question the propriety of saying what condition is expected for what age of the home. You know, they'd have tough questions like, well, describe for me the difference in what you're going to see in a 16-year-old home as compared to a 23-year-old home. And the answer of, well, the other one of them is older than the other is just not going to work. So I would avoid that expression. Flooring and state of room is in the condition expected for the age of the home. So that's my opinion. Cynthia, you can always ask her too. All right. Stating the obvious. This is when you have a prospective buyer and you're showing them a property where there's something near the home that's like really obvious, like there's a Walmart across the street or something. You might think that this is going to sound like a joke, but I do get asked about this. If there really is I don't think they have Kmart anymore. I'm not sure if they do, but anyway, there's a mall or a car dealership, or in this case, a school right across the street, we still have to disclose it. No matter how obvious it is, we still have to disclose it. We don't have to scare them, freak them out. We just have to simply let them know it's there. So anybody buying this home on the right with the white fencing, let's see, what are they going to go through? They're going to have gridlock in the morning and afternoon with the kids being dropped off and picked up. They're going to have a lot of buses going by, kids, you know, the loitering. They still ring bells, whatever, for class change or the buzzers or whatever. And there's just going to be a lot going on during the school season, summer school and all that. Now, the mistake that we can make, 2 mistakes. One is we can say it's so obvious I don't have to disclose it. And that's not correct. We still have to make a disclosure. And the other issue is, well, how am I going to actually word this? And I'll get to that in just a second. 2 or 3 more examples. Let's see, where I do a lot of driving. Where was I here? 10 freeway around La Cienega somewhere. Look at the house on the right. It's hard to get closer to a freeway. Over the ivy hedge, we have an on-ramp. So whoever lives there, whoever buys this home, they're going to be subjected to, you can just start thinking of things. There's going to be gas fumes. But if you mention only gas fumes, they can sue for diesel fumes that you didn't tell them about. So, but anyway, fuel fumes, runaway tires that maybe explode and fly off the freeway, a lot of people hanging around by the on-ramp, maybe, whatever. There's a way to disclose all of this succinctly without using verbiage that might get us in a little bit of trouble. But the mistake that we can make, you think, well, my buyers want this house. They can't miss this huge freeway. That doesn't make any difference. We still have to make a disclosure. And one more example of a photo, and then I'll get into a solution. So this is obviously a shopping center. It's pretty big. They've got a Target on the left side, and then a big supermarket like Vons, or, you know, one of the bigger ones there. And so anybody, and see the homes up above, they're nice homes. They're kind of expensive for the area. They're nice view. There's been litigation and not suspected, but alleged litigation to come over the buyers of those homes saying, well, there's deliveries. I mean, there's, you know, big stores and all that, and these big 18-wheeler trucks drive in the back, and they're loud. And when they back up, it's, you know, beep, 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 beep. And the gist of the argument has been, Target closes at 9. I think the supermarket does too, whatever. We thought we were going to get some peace and quiet overnight. But in large shopping centers like this one, there are deliveries 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So there's less at night, but not too many less. So we do have to make a disclosure to cover everything that somebody might object to. And the better disclosures that cover everything there's an advantage of going with those than coming up with a whole long list. So for example, when we disclose something near the property, we want to disclose what is there, never the details of what may bother them, the buyers, about what's there, because all their attorney has to do is come up with something that's not on the list. So for example, we saw the freeway really close by. There's a freeway near the house. They complain about gasoline fumes. Saying, well, there's a freeway near the house, and we forgot to mention diesel. We didn't even mention gasoline. Well, you told me about the gasoline. I forgot that there's diesel too. I want to sue over that. Well, no, there's a freeway near the house. The noise, the fumes of the gasoline, the blown out tires that are flying off the freeway like a missile. There is a freeway near the house, even though you cannot miss it. It's still not just a good idea, it's essential to disclose. A school is close to this property. That means every single thing that could happen to you or could affect your lifestyle, but the proximity of that school is going to be part of your life. Now, maybe they're getting a good deal on the house. Maybe they like that environment. Maybe they have kids going to the school. There was a case in La Costa, Carlsbad, San Diego, where very nice kind of upscale neighborhood, and there was a church in the neighborhood that you couldn't see unless you were, not too far away from it. But the neighborhood had a lot of streets where you can't see it. Well, every hour, on the hour, they ring chimes. I think they play like, not Battle Hymn of the Republic, but some song, hymn or something that lasts a long time. And some people, it really bugs them. And so we would want to let them know there is a church located in this neighborhood. Not good, not bad. We're just advising them. There is a school close to this property. So anything and everything that can affect you by living close to a school will be part of your life. And the advantage, if you have kids that are going to go to that school, that's maybe what's worth the hassle. Better not to make a list of specifics. So back to our shopping center with the 24/7 deliveries that some buyers never expected. And these words are not divinely inspired, so go with what you want. A shopping center is located behind this property. And you think, well, who can miss it? Let me tell you, buyers can say we were so smitten with the house we were looking at. We were oblivious to everything around it. We really wanted to buy this home. And so we didn't even notice. We sure wish you would have brought something to our attention. And that's a point to make. The thing to bring to their attention is something that's specific enough to be meaningful and generic enough to kind of include almost everything. So whatever happens behind a shopping center is disclosed. And this one is shopping center located behind this property. You buy one of these houses, behind your backyard is a big like mall, shopping center, strip mall, whatever. And there's going to be deliveries 24/7, everything that happened. People locking their doors when they're going to a store, they hit their fob thing and the horn beeps. People get angry at that, but that's answered in that disclosure. Okay, let me just do a couple other quick looks at the chats here. And again, you can always, call me. There's no charge or anything. You have to look inside cabinets or okay, that's a good question. Company policy, let me repeat it here. Do you have to look inside cabinets or outdoor sheds? The vast majority of real estate firms in California, the answer would be no. You would not look into those areas. Can we write some the term would be miscellaneous cracks noted. I don't see a problem with it. I like the word some cracks noted at backyard patio, something like that. And then if there is a smell in the bathrooms and there are no windows. Can we write no windows in bathroom? I wouldn't, because we're not really in the habit of writing down things, writing about things that aren't there. There aren't windows. There's not this. There's not that. There's not a view, whatever. So it wouldn't be a disclosure. So I would just see no disclosure there. If it was a real pungent smell that was just there every time you showed up, I'd probably mention something like that. Okay, let me blank out of that. Just a quick tip. Let's say there's been a home inspection or something. There's some reason for me to be at the property. Let's say I have the buyers, and the termite guy happens to be there. We're just standing in front of the windowsill here and just chatting. And he points out what looks like dry rot on the windowsill on the left there. Now, when he makes that disclosure, he is going to write down somewhere dry rot noted at windowsill and living room or something. But when we write down the disclosure, we don't want to use the term dry rot. That is a technical term, really in the purview only of a like environmental engineer or somebody licensed in that. So we still want to make a disclosure. We just have to be careful about the language that we use, so to speak. Like instead of dry rot noted at windowsill, with a termite inspector can actually call out. We may want, we may want to say damage noted to the windowsill. That's all. We're really disclosing the same thing, just selecting terminology. So we don't end up on a witness stand with an aggressive attorney saying, how would you know what this stuff is? And, whatever. And it puts you in a bad position. So we don't get there as long as we write things down, or we shouldn't get there as long as we don't write down things, as long as you write down things carefully. Now, I know I didn't cover this last time. This is fairly new. Okay, if you look at this picture, we got like an empty lot. And then you have a house there. The house is really part of a big development. You can't really see just a lot of vegetation. You really can't see them. Out of state buyers moved in, and could be a little bit significant in this issue or this case. So you see the vacant lot. Well, the vacant lot is a hot air balloon. What do you call it? Balloon airport or something like that. And so about 2 in the afternoon, the first day in, they heard this really loud noise, and they're thinking, my gosh, what is that? I've never heard a noise like that. And they looked over the back wall and saw, I think I have another picture of another balloon up there. Yeah, they actually do 3 balloons a day around 2 o'clock, depending on time of year, with the sun going down. And it's really loud when they're filling them up with helium or whatever they use. And then they float away and they're very quiet. Well, that's something that definitely should have been disclosed by the sellers to the buyers. It was not disclosed, and the neighbors, came over to meet them or whatever here and there, and they said, "Gosh, what's with these hot air balloons?" And when the neighbor says, "Well, it's been here for 10 years. This is the launch pad for this part of the county," then there's a lawsuit coming. They'll go ballistic. What I talk about is how to prevent the lawsuits. So let's get into that. Let me check the next slide. So when representing the seller, a really good question, we have the listing, a good question to ask, and it's kind of a serious, let's sit down, we're not joking around here. I want to do everything I can to keep you as my client from ever being sued. We're in a litigious state. Buyers are going to be getting in the mail, email plus regular snail mail, solicitations from attorney firms, unlike any other. I just did a few years ago, I did a national convention for Century 21. It was at the Mandalay Bay, so quite a while back. By the way, in the afternoon, people had a choice of either hearing me or Tony Robbins. And I always said, don't put anybody against that guy. He's going to get everybody. But anyway, so there were agents there from like all over the world, really, mainly the United States and so forth. And their disclosure obligations were so different. We happen to be here in California, in the state where we have the strictest disclosure laws and the most litigation per capita. So we really need to know this stuff. And the thing that's really wonderful about it, so to speak, is that it's easier to do it right and quicker to do it right than to do it wrong. So when representing the seller, as you see there, it's a good time to really get serious, sort of set the mood. I've looked around, I've done my limited agents, my agent's limited inspection, I've done this and that. And this is on the listing site. Is there anything, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, about this property that the neighbors are going to tell the buyers about? We're moving to, the East Coast. We're gone. We're out of the house. Just think it through. Will their neighbors, the neighbors around here, come and talk to the buyers about anything that maybe we should have told them? If you can come up with something that is within the purview of like an AVID form, the condition of the home, that's very valuable information to get disclosed, even if it's not going to be fixed. For example, the answer may be, well, every Christmas season for about 2 weeks, we do this. We call it Christmas Tree Lane, and maybe the Association of Realtors, the Homeowners Association, they're in the news lately. Homeowners Association pays for it, so we just give them access to our property. Some places, the homeowners cough up the money or whatever, and you may have a buyer that's just not into this sort of thing. They're just not the kind of people that decorate their home, or they have religious differences or something. But that's what goes on in this neighborhood. And now we are supposed to know it if that's our farm area. But if we're relatively new and we don't know even the farm area great, we're learning about it as quickly as we can. It's easy to miss this and not even mention it. Then it's Christmas time and there's pressure put on the new occupants, your client, to get on board and spend a few $1,000s to do this. All they have to do is just know about it. The whole thing about disclosure is just knowing about it in advance. Often no money needs to be spent. Nobody has to get upset or go to court. They just have to, and they won't go to court if it was clearly explained to them before they moved in. So, great question. Is there anything about this property that the neighbors who can be so helpful, sometimes in a not so good way, that the neighbors are going to tell the buyers? Good thing to ask. Let me do another. Where are we at here? 12:53. Check the questions one more time. I see Virgil is here, one of my sponsors. I'll get him on. I didn't see him on. Let's see. In Palm Springs, there is an airport. Planes go over beautiful homes. Well, I would just say, regardless if they're beautiful, I would just say there is an airport located in this area, or don't say it's a big, small airport, large airport, busy airport. There's an airport in this community, something like that. And, contact me if you want, more fine-tuned wording. If we see another question, if we see an issue, damage, defect, and add it to our Avid, do we also need to inform the seller to update and add it to the no, let me see. If I want to understand the question. If you're representing the buyers, you're not going to be informing the sellers of anything. They're your clients are buyers. So I want to make sure I'm reading this right. Jeffrey, if you could email me that question, because I'll have to get more specific than I can get right now. Now, and I just put in the chat room my email, and then and I'll run it by your management there to make sure it's okay. And I'm not blowing you off here. I just want to make sure I get the question answered. But it's going to take too much time to do it now. Here is a really, really simple way to take a rough draft disclosure that is just not ready for prime time, and in just like a minute or two, turn it into a final disclosure. It does not cost anything. You don't have to download an app or whatever, and it's very brief. So let's say I've got the buyers, 2-story home. I'm doing my Avid thing. I've done the downstairs, done the upstairs. I found either nothing or very little. My last stop is the kitchen. I kind of want to get out of there. I don't really want to interact with the sellers, and I just want to, get on my way. And the only thing really possibly meaningful that I have found is in the kitchen. If you're looking at the refrigerator, to the left of it on the wall, I see a couple of spots like this. Now, since I look at a zillion avids, a very common disclosure would be there's like mildew-like staining to the left of the refrigerator on the wall or something. Well, we don't want to mention mold or mildew. I would just mention stains noted at left of refrigerator. So we got to get that out, because when the buyers move in, they think it's mold, or they have it tested and they open it up and there's a humongous mold infestation. They got to move out of the house, stay at the local hotel, and it's just going to be a nightmare. My obligation is just to bring it to their attention in the fewest words I can. I don't want to say things that are outside my standard of care. So just stains noted at the wall to the left of the refrigerator. We want to just keep the hyperbole down and not get too wordy. Let me, I see he's in the room now. Let me quickly mention another one of my sponsors, Virgil Flores with Legal Services. Virgil, if you could unmute and tell us what you do in a minute. Go for it. Are you here? Let me see. I can ask. Let me just look down here. I will do his.
Good morning, Bob. Good
okay,
morning.
go. Yep, go for it.
Good afternoon, Century 21 Masters. Thanks for letting me pop in, Bob.
Yep.
My name is Virgil Flores. I'm the owner of Legal Services of America. We now provide a risk management system for your buyers and sellers that will effectively prevent over 97% of any threat of lawsuit from ever reaching your errors and omissions insurance. This is going to be a very effective response to these ongoing commission lawsuits that we've been hearing so much about. This is no conflict with your own corporate counsel. And beyond that, it will turn out to be a fabulous listing tool and a marketing tool. So please call on me. My name is Virgil Flores, Legal Services of America. Thank you.
Thank you. It really is a wonderful program. And again, as Virgil mentioned, there's no conflict with in-house counsel. They get involved, buyers move in, they get into a tiff with the sellers over something, and they literally get rid of or resolve 97% of those, so they never come back to haunt you at all. Okay, let me go for about another 5 minutes or so. And let me pick out, we've done the balloon thing, the rough draft. Let me talk about taking photos during the visual inspection. Companies do vary on this. I'll give you my opinion on it. There's this popular Glide app that, things have changed from agents would bring like physical cameras to their visual inspections and the disposable cameras, and now all of us with a phone have a camera on it. The question is not whether it's easy to add those into the Avid, and there can be some exceptions to the rule, but I'll just give you my opinion. It's a limited visual inspection, and what I am and we all have a camera on our phone, and we all have a phone. What I am finding when I'm doing more in-person events now, because of getting back into that, is agents that have seen me for decades, they'll bring something to the seminar. Last week, somebody brought a drone. They said, "Hey, Robert, look at this." I said, "I know what it is. It's a drone. What do? We fly it up over the top when we're doing our visual inspection. Over the roof, we can look down on the 2-story home roof and see if there are any defects." That's not a limited visual inspection. That's bringing in special equipment, and there's all kind, checking outlets for if they're the little gadget that detects if they're grounded or not. It's a great gadget to have as a homeowner. It's just not part of the visual inspection. We want it to be focused, but not in detail. It's a commonly stated as a visual inspection. You see it right there on the screen. Competent and diligent. If you take photos of everything, every crack you see, every stain, whatever, you'll never be able to take enough to satisfy who one day may want to sue you. It's a real problem as to what to photograph, and you can just take too many, too little, too whatever. They're not required. It is a limited, unaided visual inspection. And I just personally like to keep it that way, or I hope that we keep it that way, and not need to bring a camera and all kinds of other equipment that, we could bring along to enhance our inspection, but it takes us out of our standard of care. The only exception that I know of is maybe like this garage here. It's a real mess, and you're not going to be able to go in there, and you're certainly going to disclaim it. Let me mention something about disclaiming a room, even if it's the family room or master bedroom. When we don't want to visually inspect, let's say the family room, because it's such a mess, and everybody would agree it's just too cluttered, and you have a disclaimer, which are in the notes, and you'll see that later. Extensive personal belongings prohibited a visual inspection of this property. Contact agent once it's cleaned up to redo it or inspect it. I will say 95% of the time, just because of the hecticness of the transaction, you're never called back. So that disclaimer basically stays with the home and stays in the file. So it's like, you're not going to sue me or come after me for anything in this room, because I've made it clear I really can't do my job of a limited visual inspection. And the vast majority of time, you're never called back. Now, you're not tricking anybody. You're just saying, I can't see the room, so fix it or clean it up and I'll come back, but you're rarely called back. But when you see something like this, if you're going to take a picture at all, I guess that's not such a bad thing. Let me cover just one more thing that I can do quickly. Well, this is pretty simple, but it's really a meaningful thing. I'll close with this. See if there are any other questions in the chat room. Just avoid adjectives. Now, in advertising, adjectives are our friend. Magnificent view, beautiful this, lovely that. We just don't want to use those. We don't want to use adjectives in disclosure. So we want to avoid all adjectives, and the common ones: small, large, fair, poor, colors, numbers, like water stain is just a stain. Mold, we never want to say mold. We don't want to say it. We don't want to write it down. We don't want to say mildew. We can just say odor noted or something like that. Just keep it subjective. I'll skip that story. I would never want to call cracks, like on a patio or driveway, settling cracks. That's a geological or like an engineering person's estimation or guess at what it is before they do their investigation. Surface cracks, hairline cracks, cosmetic cracks, expansive cracks. You know what they are? They're just cracks. We're talking about making our job easier, writing fewer words, not trying to figure out what's happening here. We never need to know what's happening. We just want to document what we observe with our limited visual inspection. So kind of exaggerate to make a point. We have a too long of a sentence here of a disclosure. 3 large settling cracks noted near mold stain above fireplace. Very, very common wording. Let's just clean it up. Get rid of numbers, the large, never write down settling. Stay away from the word mold completely. So we remove those, and our disclosure is cracks noted near stain above fireplace. It is, I would say, impossible to sue over this or close to it. We can get in trouble with the large and get into reasons why we think there are cracks. So we're really talking about making our job simpler, not harder. So let me see if there are any questions here. Let me see here. No avid. Okay. Cindy mentioned, no avid for vacant land. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to the thing. Let me see. I think there's one more, maybe 2 more. See if I can answer those. If we take a video of the home and the buyer asks us to send it to him, can we do that? Well, I would never take a video as part of my limited visual inspection if it's like a marketing thing or something. I'm not aware of any problem with that. Cindy might have more to say about that. If seller mentioned that someone passed away in the property, 15 years is too far back. we don't have to disclose deaths that are that far back. So there's no obligation to disclose it. And I think that's all. So I'm going to, for time's sake, I'll stop it here. I don't like to, I never go over time. I know you have other things to talk about. So I'm not sure, Robert, should I turn it back to you and just let the agents know they can, I'll send some notes over, my seminar notes. And if you, for those in the meeting and anybody you talk to with your company, you can call me anytime. Better to email me. That way I can copy in management so they know what I'm talking about. There's no charge, no cost. I'm glad to do that. So turn it back to you, Robert.
Absolutely. So I'm going to repost Robert Brand's email right there. So that way you can contact him directly. I can't stress this enough. Please do not contact me with your questions. Okay, that I cannot stress that enough. Okay, because this whole thing is about staying out of court. And if you ask me, we're going right back in. So make sure make sure that all of your questions of what Robert Brand just covered goes to the right Robert, which is disclosureinfo@aol.com. All right, we will be in trouble.
You can
Cindy,
send
go ahead, Cindy.
questions to me as well.
Or
And
yeah,
send questions to Cindy, of course, as well, because she's always in the know on these types of things. So you got plenty of people. So first of all, if y'all do me a favor, because this man took time out of his day, give him a round of applause. He deserves, because greatly appreciate every
Thank you.
year he comes
Thank
in,
you.
he does this.
Thank you.
Look at this
Thank you.
is, as someone who also does professional speaking like Robert does, there are some topics that are tough to make entertaining. And you know,
This is one of them. Yeah.
TDS is an avid are tough.
Yeah.
And he always makes it entertaining, makes it fun. The information's great. He gets through it. So really appreciate you being on here. So make sure you're reaching out to him with all of your questions. This is important stuff. So that's why we always have him on here. So really appreciate
you.
it. I know some of the questions might not have been answered, but like he said, for time's sake, reach out to him. He'll make sure to get that over to you, or Cindy, because Cindy's always on top of that as well. So
Yep.
Robert, greatly appreciate it, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you,
And,
Cindy.
Thank you.
you know, we'll do it again.
Okay. Have a great one. Bye.
Thank you, buddy. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Another great day on Zoom. Look at all these faces. And some of you are